Yeah, he still got it. Okay, we'll get the follow-up with him right here. And that's going to proc his turn as well. So follow-up plus the turn hit. So he's already back to another ultimate. See what I mean when I say this dude snowballs? That's exactly what I mean. That is exactly what I mean. When I say in content that has more than one wave, this guy can snowball. He can start throwing his ultimate nearly consecutively. And all it took from me was to get the follow-up. That's all it took. Right? Now, how much of that is variable? Like if we had put on the equipment or unipart set for ultimate charge rate, which again would tank his damage, but if we put that one on that has a set effect for charge rate, how much of that would change? If we put on a body part in the lizard set that he currently has that has ult charge instead, it's hard to find this stuff because the system sucks and I can't unequip stuff and then switch and test stuff out because the system sucks. But if we put that stuff on him, how much faster is he at getting his ultimates off? The entire premise of his kit is on getting the ultimate off ASAP. And again, he's the second best character among 5 stars anyway, that at getting the ultimate. And, you know, you could do other things like those things. You could run a Kari Mina say, but if he's in content that has multiple waves, he really gets going. I actually don't think, and so this is one thing I heard, that he's good in like raid content. He'd be good there, but I actually don't think he's great there because he really can't snowball the same way. He's going to lose that 100% charge rate, and then he turns back into more of a normal character. Now, using the other Gen's weapon helps fix that. Right? That's good. That helps fix that. But overall, though, again, his damage does come down just a little bit on those crits because he's not getting that 50% crit rate. But I think that's massive. All right, everyone, and welcome back to another video on Kaiju number 8. Today's video is all about Gen Narumi, the brand new one, a little bit about the old one, and which weapon is the proper choice for him. Now, quickly, I'd like to say that if you do have the new weapon for him, obviously you can use it effectively, but one thing that has been kind of floating around out there, I was personally pretty unimpressed with his default weapon when I did my summons and stuff like that, and so one of the things that I was saying was I don't think this is like a must-have or anything like that. Maybe if his damage was higher, if he was a better damage dealer, you'd see that crit damage pop off much more. Obviously, with dupes invested in the weapon that I don't think you should be summoning for anyway, it would obviously get much better. But anyway, if he was a better damage dealer, then that would be something that would be reflected there. But as it stands, he's basically slotted as a sub DPS. You can maybe use him as your primary on a secondary team, but he doesn't compete with Hoshina in terms of damage. He doesn't really compete with Reno in terms of damage or the ultimate utility either, frankly. But what he does do well is he does do plate breaking well. He's also able to break those universal plates, those elemental plates. If you don't have an elemental, blunt, whatever, he's able to break random plates, which is really good. And he's got the dual elements. Unfortunately, he's not able to hit adjacent enemies, which unfortunately kind of holds him back in terms of like how strong he could potentially be. But this weapon here is designed for a DPS character. And for the record, he is a quote-unquote DPS character. He's an attacker. That is his primary functionality, is to be an offensive character. But the best thing about him is that he's a support character. He offers that extra damage. And when it comes to him, you want to get his ultimate ASAP. So with his kit, he starts off with the plus 100% right here, which means that basically 2 turns in, he's going to get the ultimate. I think you can use whatever. No. I'm pretty sure unless you get follow-ups, I'm pretty sure you actually have to use 2 turns of this. Maybe you can do, I'm not going to do the math, but maybe you can do 1 turn of each. But you can't do 2 normal attacks, I don't believe. Anyway, he's getting the plus 100 there for 2 turns at the start of the wave. So quick note on that. Versus like a single boss, like a raid boss or something without waves, that's actually not great. Because it means that he's going to struggle to snowball. Against content that has multiple waves especially, but just even any waves at all, he's able to really get going. Because all of a sudden, he's able to get to that ultimate much more quicker, much more consistently. And the ultimate is the driving force for this discussion, because the second weapon that he does, the old weapon, actually gives him ultimate charge rate. after using an ultimate. So it helps him get to his second ultimate faster. So quick note on this, it can actually patch that weakness where he loses the 100%. It can help alleviate that a little bit versus like a single wave enemy, but it helps him get to that, and it would stack with that second turn, with the 2 turns on like a wave-based content after using your first one, etc. Now, he needs to get to his ultimate, if it wasn't clear, so he can do the scene through. That is on the ultimate effect. But he also needs to get to it so the allies can get that 30%, which is why he starts with it fast. I think that his first couple turns are pretty crap because he doesn't start with it, frankly. He should have just started with it like Kikuru does. He's basically the new Kikuru revamped, which is kind of funny. Anyway, he should have started with it like the new Kikuru in Numbers Weapon 2 suit does. Unfortunately, he doesn't. I think it slows him down. It makes his first couple turns crap. Maybe it would have been better if his booming slash, again, hit more than one target, but it is what it is. And then moving on from that, he needs to get that, like I said, as the primary function for the scene through. Now, scene through is kind of clunky because if you use the ultimate again, it will take it off. It says here that if you attack a kaiju that was already seen through, the state will be removed. If you hit a new kaiju that is not seen through when there is a character that's in seen through already, the seen through state will be removed from the one that has it. I have to go through and test it, but I believe in my gameplay, I hit a kaiju that already had seen through with the ultimate again, and I believe it pulled it off, which you don't want. Maybe because they were core exposed and it just reset it. I don't know. But anyway, you don't necessarily want that. I've got to go through and test it. But ultimately, though, you don't really need this weapon because he's not going to peak as the top-end DPS. He'll never come close enough because his attack stat is just a little bit too low. It's at 1461 by base. That's not the worst stat, but like for comparison, let's look at some of the other base stats in here. 1600, that actually does matter. And then here, 1300. That's not great, but she's got a good bit pulling in from what her weapon. Is that coming from the weapon? Where's the hell is that coming from? I mean, it all comes from the weapon too, but it's coming from uniparts as well. She's got a 19% one. Frankly, she can go higher than that. And that's my main problem with this Kikuru too, is look at that, 1100 base attack. That's pitiful. Like it's actually bad. It's actively very bad. So I think that is one of the things that kind of holds him back. He does have good modifiers though, but I don't think that that's enough to offset that. Now, I do need to get better unis on him. But the most important thing is getting this 50% and then 30% crit rate when rounding up. So overall, though, we'll come back and get the better individual sets on him. But I think that's kind of crap overall, the stat distribution on him. He could have just been like a few hundred attack higher and he would have been so much better. Like, it's not even close. And I think that would be fine because, again, he is a single target character through and through. Anyway, moving on. So if it wasn't clear, right? The other Narumi, the old Narumi, I didn't talk anything about him. He's fine no matter what you do. It doesn't really matter much. He is what he is. Because of the fact that the old Narumi, he's just designed to be a plate breaker. He's got speed in here, right? That helps him get to going faster in the ultimate and the passive, one of the two. And then when he breaks a plate, or when he causes a kaiju to be core exposed, to be specific, he gets extra action order. So he kind of just starts snowballing in terms of being able to quickly break plates. But he gets to his ultimate faster with that weapon. That's nice and all for the multi-hit, double element, all that stuff. It's just his ult doesn't really do all that much damage because the modifiers are low because it's split between the 3 targets. So you don't really necessarily need that. However, in arguing that means he doesn't necessarily need this weapon either. So I don't think either character really needs this new weapon. There's 2 other weapons. The Battle Pass one is just kind of generic. It offers crit rate and attack. That's fine. You can put that on either and be fine. I actually like the one in the Expedition shop much better. Or the Proof of Valor shop much better. This one here, when the equipped unit destroys a plate, gets an attack increase. I believe that's a passive on the new Narumi, so that would stack as well. After the equipped unit causes the kaiju to be core exposed, you get extra damage as well. So I like that one better overall. But overall, though, like I said, old Narumi he's just fine. It doesn't really matter what you do with him. But with new Narumi, the question then becomes, do you want to try to get to his ultimate faster? And that's the whole idea behind potentially switching his weapons out. Now, I want to go into, I don't really know what content to really showcase this specifically, because if I go to my normal testing grounds, there's only 1 wave. Actually, maybe we'll just take on this new limited content. That's fine. I'm not going to run supports. I don't want characters to buff my gauge up. By the way, I'm going to show you something really quick. I'm going to show you guys something really quick. That's pretty funny that I don't think enough people talk about. It's kind of funny. And it's with Akari Minase. So she's going to get her own dedicated video in the new level 100 permanent stages that are pretty tough, actually. But I don't know if enough people... I mention this from time to time, but I don't know if enough people realize this or what. But I'm going to show you kind of what she does and how she functions. So for starters, we're going to just show you base Gen. Oh, this is Gen, actually, with the old weapon, which somebody pointed out to me that in his character art he uses this GG5 whatever old weapon, which is funny. GG3305, because he doesn't actually change his weapon at all. Like, there's no other weapon. So they put on that one, but then they gave him another weapon to use, so it's kind of funny. All right, let's go here. So we'll just for now ignore Minase. She's not really here. Ignore her. But we will show my functionality that I wanted to show with her in a minute. Okay, so for now, the reason I brought Sagan and Isao will give extra damage. That's not really why he's here. Sagan can too. I'm not planning on using ultimates with those characters. The reason I brought them is so they can draw hits, because taking hits increases ultimate gauge. So I didn't want, unless now there was an AoE there, I can't do anything about that. I didn't want Gen to be misrepresented by a character, like basically like him coming in and taking all the hits or taking a bunch of hits and getting there much faster. Because in theory, if he like even had like a draw aggro mechanic, that may help patch his effectiveness too, because he would then all of a sudden be able to get to that much quicker, right? And follow-ups also do the same thing. They also increase ultimate gauge, so drawing hits or taking hits and then doing follow-ups also increase the gauge. So in theory, if he's able to get either of those mechanics to work, he would then get to the ultimate charge much faster and get that second ultimate much faster. Now, you don't, again, the second ultimate is not about the damage. It's not about anything other than the fact that the characters get this extra bonus, and then also you may be able to break plates much faster. That's the only other reason why that really even matters. Okay, so I believe that was still the second turn. Yeah, that was still the second turn because he's got an attack triggering on the third turn. So that is the last attack with the plus 100. Now he's relatively close to it. If we were able to beat this wave, we would be able to reset that plus 100, basically. That's how that works. He's relatively close to it, but that's not going to be enough. 80 is not enough to fill that. He's going to be just shy, unless he gets a follow-up or something like that, right? Like I keep saying. So he's just shy, like I called it. And so, basically, unless your team has Supreme Burst, now this would be faster, it would be easier if I actually used dedicated support characters. I was using their ultimates, you know, playing more normally than what I'm doing here. This is a more normal experience, or I guess a baseline experience, I should say, for how effective he is at getting that and throwing that, right? Actually, one thing I want to see here really quick is I want to see what it looks like when I get the full break and then throw that second ultimate. And so I've got to have Gen hit this side character. We'll get the break here because this should be 5. The eye turned green, so yep, there it is. Oh, well, to be fair, I needed to do that before. Actually, I needed to do that before breaking. So, because now what's going to happen if I do this is it's just going to reapply it, but I can't stack it. So never mind. That's not what I wanted to see. Anyway, so let me actually restart this and let me show you this. Let me show you what Minase does, because everyone's concerned about her being the only healer in the game, which she is, and that's useful, I guess. I mean, it is useful now. Until now, you didn't need a healer for anything, and I'll stand by that. Unless you were just very under-leveled. You didn't need a healer, you didn't need sustain or anything. But in the new content, and that's only one piece of content anyway, it can be very, very useful, because they do a lot of damage, they've got a lot of HP and defense. All right. So we are now going to trigger her combat skill. And so her combat skill is very strong. It increases the ultimate charge rate of the ally for 3 turns, for the record, by 21%. She basically has a here's your ultimate card. 3 turns is insane. 3 turns of 20% extra charge is ridiculous. Because ultimate charge is crazy because it's on everything you do that triggers ultimate gain. It's going to proc that higher 20% on that as well. So I think personally, I know she has an AoE heal on her ultimate. I think personally that's her most important skill, and it's not close. So we've got this, but that's normal. That's his second attack. That's normal functionality. But I want to see him get to the second ultimate, and we'll see what that looks like here. And Mina Sei's 20% is so strong that she's one of the characters that I can think really patch. You know, I think I was mentioning this earlier, but I re-recorded this video, so I'm not sure if it was last video, so bear with me. But patch the Oshiro 5-star. I believe I was talking about this earlier. I know I was. I just don't know if it was this video or the other one. So let's go here. So we're now entering turn 2. So he's going to get one turn with the plus 100 and then plus the 20. He's got to attack on turn 2. He's got another one on turn 3 for the record. If we had the ability to increase action order and or speed, we would be better at this. Like if he was faster, he'd be higher. And so that would have helped him get that third hit a little bit more in the 2-turn window, which is not happening here. So he's got 18 from the weapon because we've thrown the ultimate. We get the 18 from the weapon. He's got 20 from Mina Sei. He's got his own 100 as well in here. Not seeing it applied, but we're within turn 2. So I don't know why it's not applied. Anyway. It's for 2 turns, right? It doesn't fall off on the start of turn 2. Or are the turns counted like turn 0 is technically turn 1? Does that make sense? I guess we'll find out in a second. I'll just reset it and see. Here's what this looks like with what he has, though. Oh, yeah, he doesn't have it. Because he basically got half of his gauge from that, which is 150. So that attack gives 90. And he got 18 from the weapon. And then there. So, like, he basically got 150 off of that. Interesting. Okay, so it does fall off when you hit the number 2 counter on that. That's good to know. Is there any... Because they don't have overfill. If there was overfill, that would be one thing. Right? There's no overfill for the gauge. So, like, when I go over and do the ultimate, they're going to just start from 0. Okay, let me try this one more time. Just really quickly. But the whole thing was about seeing... Yeah, it is here. The whole thing was about seeing how quick he gets to the second ultimate faster. So that's what we're going to really focus on from here. I forgot about that. I could have left that last recording going. Or that last fight going. But I want to start with her here and see how this looks like. So in a perfect world where Sagan and Isao aren't going to draw all the aggro, maybe he'd get hit, and that would actually, I believe, with Mina Sei too, that I would have to imagine that would get him extremely close to his ultimate. Anyway. So here's the ultimate, of course. Again, standard though, so not surprising. And by the way, this is not about damage. I've very clearly said I don't really care about his damage. That's not the point. I mean, I say as he's doing 17,000. He can do much more than that if I actually focused on it. But that's not the point. So he's starting here. That's not bad. So Narumi has... So now he's lost that, but he still keeps those other 2. Okay. Sagan gets hers. He's really close. But at this pace, he's averaging an ultimate every other turn. Or every 2 turns, I guess I should say. Without, again, breaks and stuff like that. But with the Mina Sei buff in this situation. And so with Mina Sei out, it would most likely, in this exact style, take him 1 more turn. She's making up the difference of like 1 turn. Yeah, it would take him roughly 1 more turn. So this enemy's fully stacked. So let me see what this ultimate looks like. He's fully stacked. The eye's green, so let's see. Oh, it didn't pull it off. Interesting. That happened to me earlier. I wonder why, though. Maybe they're not broken and it resets it. I'm not sure what that was. But anyway, maybe I'm just misremembering. Okay, so we got that off. That weapon, one thing about the weapon, though, is that it will keep reapplying this. So every time he throws the ultimate, he's gonna be able to get going. And then again, if we were ever able to beat this first wave in like a decent amount of time, which we would be able to do with a more normal team, then that would allow for him to snowball better. So the next thing I want to show is a more normalized team, because this is not, I mean, they could have beat this eventually, but this is not what I would use at all. So we're going to drop off 3 of these characters, slot Gen more appropriately, and show what that looks like as well. So I am going to plug in Chester. I do like Chester as a follow-up for a character like him. We'll go Reno, just because, and get Hoshina to chill out for a minute, and we'll give him old Hoshina 4-star as well. And I want to see what this looks like. I'll even put it on auto, just to let the game manage it. I just want to see what it looks like when it's controlled when it's in a more normal environment. So he will start off with the ultimate turn 1 here. Or not turn 1, turn 2, like usual. That's, again, for the 5th time standard. That's how he's supposed to function. So it's not a surprise. It's not great. I mean, it is, again, he is still the 2nd best character in the game at that. That's still really good. Yeah, that is still really good. I can't undersell that enough. It's a little bit normalized in this video because I've seen it so many times. And so I'm saying it's standard, but it's still really good. Because no other character is coming that close to that much, right? I guess 4-star Hoshina really tried. 4-star Hoshina really tried to get his ultimate. Look at him. He tried really hard. But some of that's just because, again, when you are able to incorporate breaks and follow-ups and stuff, then that really changes the landscape. Why do you keep buffing him? Buff your damn buddy, dude. What are you doing? He has no choice but to buff his buddy here. He has no choice. Speed and damage. Oh, he had no choice. All right, and Reno gets his turn off. Cool, nice. And the attack increase from the weapon. He had no choice right there. Reno's not critting though, so he looks terrible. Right, so freeze. Chester gets a turn, and Chester gets an ult. We get a follow-up with Narumi, which, if you're able to get those follow-ups within that quick window, like I've been saying, that would really help him get to that first ultimate as well. And you wouldn't have to use your combat skill either as well. So there's a kill. We now get the 100 back. It would have been nice if he started this turn as opposed to ending the last turn. But he's still like right on the verge of an ultimate. And so right here, he has the 100 plus the 18, right? That's how he's at now. He's at the 100 plus the 18. If you know what the difference is one thing I haven't talked about is if I had a ultimate charge unipart arm, a body part here, if this was 20% ult charge, he would have been, oh my god, he would have got the ultimate right there. Or if it was the, or if it was the set effect for that. So this was something I mentioned in my initial video that got re-recorded. Somebody asked me about the set effect of ultimate charge. You can put that one on for the set effect. I don't know what set that is called. Whatever it's called. You could put that one on. His damage would crater. But, I mean, like I said already, it's not so much about the damage, right? His damage would absolutely crater. It's hilarious. Okay, here's the ultimate. Okay, so on average, though, regardless, he's still mostly getting it once every couple of turns. Let me turn this off so I can ensure a follow-up with Narumi. Because he's got the 100 and the 18 right now. Right? Or did it reset my turns? Let me see. Well, no, it's at the start of the wave, so there's no way this has been 2 turns this wave, because he started with it. Yeah, he still got it. Okay, we'll get the follow-up with him right here. And that's going to proc his turn as well. So follow-up plus the turn hit. So he's already back to another ultimate. See what I mean when I say this dude snowballs? That's exactly what I mean. That is exactly what I mean. When I say in content that has more than one wave, this guy can snowball. He can start throwing his ultimate nearly consecutively. And all it took from me was to get the follow-up. That's all it took. Right? Now, how much of that is variable? Like if we had put on the equipment or unipart set for ultimate charge rate, which again would tank his damage, but if we put that one on that has a set effect for charge rate, how much of that would change? If we put on a body part in the lizard set that he currently has that has ult charge instead, it's hard to find this stuff because the system sucks and I can't unequip stuff and then switch and test stuff out because the system sucks. But if we put that stuff on him, how much faster is he at getting his ultimates off? The entire premise of his kit is on getting the ultimate off ASAP. And again, he's the second best character among 5 stars anyway, that at getting the ultimate. And, you know, you could do other things like those things. You could run a Kari Mina say, but if he's in content that has multiple waves, he really gets going. I actually don't think, and so this is one thing I heard, that he's good in like raid content. He'd be good there, but I actually don't think he's great there because he really can't snowball the same way. He's going to lose that 100% charge rate, and then he turns back into more of a normal character. Now, using the other Gen's weapon helps fix that, right? That's good. That helps fix that. But overall, though, again, his damage does come down just a little bit on those crits because he's not getting that 50% crit rate, but I think that's massive. That he's able to get to that much more consistently. And if you have a setting where he's, I didn't mean to restart this, if you have a setting where he's able to be a more consistent support character after that initial turn, the real problem is the initial 2 turns of the fight, then I think he's much better, right? So overall, though, I could go back in here and test and show the damage with the other weapon. And so what I'll actually, I guess I could, what I'm going to do, because I have to go, is I'll put his own default weapon back on. You can take note of it. I'm not going to take numbers down. You can take note of the damage difference and how quickly he gets to his ultimate and stuff like that as well. But I actually am really satisfied with that. And I think the real selling point for that for me is that the other Narumi, there's no reason to rush his ultimate. Like, it's nice. It's nice on any character, though. But there's no reason to rush him to try to snowball ultimates because it's not really doing all that much damage in the first place, right? I guess when you consider overall damage output and the fact he's hitting multi-targets, you know, even though he may do like 60k on that attack, that's a good spread of damage. So that's the one caveat to a blast attacker, of course. But I don't see like a humongous rush or anything like that for him. But I think there is a rush for this one. And so with that being the case, I don't know if I would go as far as to put the set on him, but I absolutely think you put the body part on. I think you absolutely put the armor piece on for that, and I don't think anything even comes close. Like, you could try crit this and that. He's just not that guy. he's a good damage dealer. He's just not that guy because we have that guy, and that guy is this guy, but a different version of this guy, and he does 5 times more damage, or I guess more 3 times. Honestly, it depends on the turn, but it can anywhere from 3 to 5 times more damage than the rest of the stupid game on average. Like, the guy just because his combat skill does so much damage. So maybe that's a little bit overselling it. But anyway, you get my point, though. Like, we have that guy. And then if the argument is, well, you need a second that guy, then just use freaking Reno as your second that guy. If you really need to dig out the bottom of the barrel, you actually would get better single target damage from a guy like Kaiju No. 8. And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. You would get better single target damage out of a guy like Kaiju No. 8. So that's not the main selling point. And then some of that's, again, just because Reno's attack is so low. That's not the main selling point for this Reno, right? Has he even got his second ultimate? I'm too busy talking. I don't think he's got his second ultimate yet, right? But I remember we started this wave really close. Oh my god, he just got like 200 gauge off one hit. Stupid. Oh, stupid. I don't know where he's at. I feel like he's behind schedule, though. Unless this is going to be his 3rd ultimate, he's behind schedule. in which case that's simply just the weapon. But the weapon doesn't proc until after the first one. So it's hard to tell without... I was not paying attention, I'm being honest with you. It's hard to tell. He gets a follow-up. That's going to trigger it, though. Yeah, getting the follow-ups. And again, this is for any character, but getting the follow-ups for him is really important. It's among the most important things, because you just have to get that faster. You just have to get that fast. He did good damage there, I'll say. He's starting to... Okay, so you can clearly see... You clearly see it, though. This is what I mentioned. You clearly see that he does better damage with his own weapon. And so maybe I was saying he's not that guy. I mean, he could be your primary DPS. Like, this is my initial stance. But I guess watching this video so much with the other weapon skewed my perception differently. But my initial reaction to him was he could be your primary guy on a second team. Excuse me, wrong button. For you if you wanted to do that. So, overall, though, yeah, he clearly does better damage. But I'm pretty sure he was behind schedule on that ultimate. And that means he was slowed down. So that's the trade-off, right? Now, I'm not going to bother testing old Narumi with this, because like I said in the beginning, old Narumi's he's just whatever. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. But what I will say is I'm not going to really pay attention to it. I'm going to end the video on this, let you guys watch some old Narumi footage and see what he looks like. I'll put this on. See what he looks like with the Oya Matsumi. And go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe. I'm going to let my dog outside. But I'll see you all in the next one. Oh wow, I left. And I'm surprised they're still not done. Hopefully he looked good though. Alright guys, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. He would have got his ult if it was the other weapon. Did we just build the other weapon for both characters and just call it?